Hello, everyone. Bill Murphy here from the Sports Insanity Network, and welcome to another edition of Murphy Sports Cinema. Since March Madness is in full swing, I think it'd only be appropriate that today we talk about Glory Road, the 2006 Disney film that tells the true story of the 1965 to 1966 Texas Western basketball team as they played in the NCAA tournament and went up against the all-white University of Kentucky team. So, like I said, the film tells the story of Don Haskins, a former girls' high school basketball coach who goes to coach the University of Texas Western basketball team, which is now the University of Texas El Paso. It's a small school, as described by someone. It's a commuter school. It's a Division I school, but nobody really cares. They don't have a big budget. So what does Haskins do? He goes to recruit African American players, and and they come on the team, and it's the typical, it's the typical we need to come together regardless of our race and background. Something that you see in every sports movie. I thought the plot line was just very generic, even though it is a true story. Yeah, I'll get to why that in a minute. But I think this film was just okay. I didn't think it was anything groundbreaking. I personally thought it was okay. It was just, again, let's come together. Tough coach, who was played very well by Josh Lucas, so I'll give him that. Because there was this one scene when a couple of the teammates ran off to this Spanish bar the night before, because it's El Paso, and that has a very big Hispanic community. And the next morning at practice, they're sluggish, and Don Haskins, who told them to stay focused, don't go off in bars and play and with girls and stuff. And he goes, "¿Cómo estás?" Basically, I know what you idiots did last night. And he punishes them by making them run laps and says he's going to have them play fundamental basketball. You've seen this done in sports movies a dozen times. But I thought Josh Lucas portrayed Don Haskins very well. And the rest of the cast, which are actors who aren't really big, they did okay. Now, let's get to what you really came to listen to. Okay, I said this movie was based on a true story. I'm going to give you all a little life lesson here. When a movie says based on a true story, take it with a grain of salt. They made stuff up. They took artistic liberties. When they say based on a true story, loosely based. So, you know what? Let's start with what was going to be considered the first big controversy. And that was Adolph Rupp, the University of Kentucky basketball coach, legendary University of Kentucky basketball coach. They said that the movie portrayed him as a racist. This was a concern of Kentucky basketball fans, people who knew Rupp, and even Rupp's own son. But James Gardner said that they would do their best to not portray Rupp as a racist. But there were scenes that he was sort of portrayed as racist. And I don't mean like, okay, this is a very complicated thing to talk about. So I'm going to do my best to try to explain this. I don't think they portrayed him as racist in the way as like, Confederate flag, Ku Klux Klan. I think they portrayed his racism as very subtle, such as there was a scene when Rupp and Haskins meet at an airport when they're interviewing Don Haskins, and then Rupp and the University of Kentucky basketball players come in, and they all go run to talk to him. And Haskins goes over to introduce himself. It's a very brief interaction. He just comes over and said, "Hey, just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Don Haskins. I'm from the University of Texas Western. I just wanted to congratulate you on another great season." And he shakes Haskins' hand. He goes, "Well, thank you." And then he looks over to the team with the majority African American players. He goes, "That your team over there?" And he goes, "Yeah, those are my guys." And he goes, "Okay." Just has that very weird, when you're trying to get out of a conversation that's uncomfortable. I think that's how the portrayal was in this film. Like, Rupp is trying to get out of this conversation as much as he can. He just says, "Okay." And he said, "Best of luck to you. We'll probably see each other in the tournament," and just walks away. And there was another scene like before the game between University of Texas Western and University of Kentucky. Rupp is saying things like, "Oh, I'm sure they're good players." And I can't remember if he said this during the press conference scene or during the game, talking about Bobby Joe Hill, who was basically the captain of that team, University of Texas Western. He says, "I don't think I would have recruited him." That could have been a set off, like, yeah, no, this maybe race had something to do with it. And I did some research of what Adolph Rupp was really like. Some said that he wasn't racist. Like, there was a story that in 1961 the University of Kentucky want was going to try to recruit black players, but I got two different stories. One said that the president of Kentucky said, "No, we're not going to integrate." And Adolph Rupp actually threatened for Kentucky to leave the SEC conference, which the president of Kentucky University at the time didn't want to, because they would have taken a huge financial hit if they went independent, and Rupp made an alternate schedule if they were to go independent. The other story I'm hearing is that the new University of Kentucky president forced Rupp to integrate. And Rupp was not happy about that, and said, "I can't believe he wants me to bring some leave it up to your imagination in here." And but again, I'm hearing two different stories about that. Kentucky and Rupp did recruit black players like in 1964, 1969, but they ended up going to Louisville instead. And Kentucky didn't have a black player on their team until 1969 with Tom Paine. So I'm hearing mixed views. I also heard that in the 20s, Rupp actually did coach black players at a high school, and that he also helped someone in like the late 40s to train for the US Olympic basketball team. But you know what? I hear many different stories, so I would say the jury's out. I'm not going to sit here and dissect someone who passed away years ago. But there was a controversy in 2020 after the events of the murder of George Floyd, where the University of Kentucky African American Studies actually wanted to show, actually wanted to rename the arena that's renamed Rupp Arena. So who knows? But also, John Voight said he was going to be very careful to not portray Rupp as a racist. And did he? I think he made it more subtle because, again, I don't know this guy. He probably because listen, he's from the South. It was a different time. I'm not defending him, but I think he did his best to not portray him as a racist, but have those at the time stereotypes. Okay, I just want to get that one out of the way. The other things that they kind of fudged a little bit was, and this is a small detail, that Don Haskins came in 1965 to the University of Texas Western and won in his first season. That's actually not true. He came 4 years earlier in 1961, and that was a process to build up the team. And there was an incident in during when they played East Texas. Yeah, I think it was East. Yeah, where they wanted to play, where they were playing East Texas University, which is now Texas A&M Commerce. And there was East Texas State University, which is now Texas A&M University Commerce. There was a scene when they were playing them and the fans were throwing popcorn and drinks at them and yelling racial slurs. And when they got into their room, somebody had spray painted the words "die N words, go home, C words." It turns out that didn't happen. And Texas University A&M Commerce, which was at the time East Texas State University, they demanded that Disney apologize for their portrayal of the university. And Disney just went back and said, well, we're not making a documentary. We're not making a documentary, so we're not apologizing. Listen, I get it that when you, again, based on a true story means we took some artistic liberties, but I agree with the university. I think you should have issued them an apology. Because who knows, somebody's father or grandfather or grandfather or grandmother, you're portraying them as a racist. I think that was very irresponsible on Disney's part. And I think their defense of, well, we're not making a documentary is not strong. I honestly think that if you're gonna portray, you gotta portray them with some accuracy. I think they should have put out a statement saying we did not mean to portray this university in any negative light. We're sorry. But that's neither here nor there. Now, another thing as portrayed in the movie is that Coach Haskins wanted to start the black players is that he wanted to start the black players to make a political statement, but it turns out that a friend of his, John Thompson, who literally became a who later became the coach of Georgetown University. I think he had a talk with Haskins, and Haskins said that he just wanted to start his best players. It had nothing to do with making a political statement. That's what John Thompson told some journalist. But again, it's through the grapevine. It was one person telling another person telling another person. I don't take it as, again, this was interpreted in so many ways, and nobody really knows the truth. Okay, now what happened to these folks after the movie? Coach Haskins remained at Texas Western, which is now University of Texas El Paso, in which he compiled a record of 719 wins and 353 losses, and he only had 5 losing seasons. He won 14 Western Athletic Conference championship and 4 Western Athletic tournament titles. And he had 14 NCAA tournament berths and 7 trips to NIT. And he was the assistant Olympic head coach in 1972. He remained there until he retired in 1999. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 1997 and the College Basketball Hall of Fame in 2006. Don Haskins sadly passed away on September 7th, 2008. He was survived by his wife, sons, and grandsons. Adolph Rupp he was a legendary coach at Kentucky. Okay, you know what? I talked about the negative stuff. It's only fair that I now talk about the positive stuff to him. He won 4 NCAA Division I, 4 college basketball tournaments in 1948, 1949, 1951, 1958. He won 27 SEC regular seasons, 13 SEC tournaments. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 1969 and the College Basketball Hall of Fame posthumously in 2006. He remained at Kentucky for 42 years from 1930 to 1972. And he passed away in December of 1977 at the age of 76. Now, for the starting 5 in this movie, Bobby Joe Hill, after Texas Western, he didn't go pro, married his college sweetheart, and he was an executive with El Paso Natural Gas, and he passed away in 2002 of a heart attack at the age of 59, and thousands of people ended up coming to his funeral. David Lattin, he left Texas Western in 1967. He was a number 10 pick by the San Francisco Warriors in the draft. And he also went on to play with other teams such as the Phoenix Suns, Pittsburgh Condors, and the Miami Chams. And he ended his career with the Harlem Globetrotters, in which he played from 73 to 76. He actually went back to school and got his degree in business and started several successful businesses in the area. Harry Flournoy became a teacher and a basketball coach in El Paso, Texas in 1972. And then he moved to California, where he became a sales representative. And he died in 2016. Willie Cager. Okay, this one actually touched me because there was a scene in the film when we discover that Mr. Cager has a heart condition. He was told that he couldn't play anymore, but his mom then talked to Coach Haskins. I love that scene when she talks to him and says, like, oh, he talks about you all the time. I have to come and meet you. Goes, let him play. Goes, but can he die? Goes, you know what? He knows the risk, but he loves basketball. Cager, he stayed in El Paso. He actually worked for the Yista Independent School District after school program as a coordinator. And he had a charitable foundation known as the Willie Cager Foundation to help build construction in El Paso. After playing at Texas Western, Cager was drafted by the Baltimore Bullets in the 1968 NBA draft. However, he never played as a professional because of his heart condition. And that is a man that I respect because he went on to have a successful life. It did sound like in the movie that he could have dropped any second because of his heart condition, but he made it another. He basically made it almost another 60 years. He actually passed away last year on March 19th, 2023, which was ironically the anniversary of when University of Texas Western beat Kentucky. He went on for 57 more years. He made it to 80 years old after they said he wouldn't live that long. So rest in peace, Cager, and our condolences go out to his family. And also, okay, hold on, I got someone's name wrong here for a minute. Give me a sec. Okay, Neville Shedd, known as the Shadow. He was drafted by the Boston Celtics in 1967. His career ended when he tore up his leg while attempting a layup at a game of training camp. He never played an NBA regular season game or any other league. And he actually came back to Texas Western to be an assistant coach for Don Haskins. And he now works as the director of summer training camp for the San Antonio Spurs. Willie Worsey, after playing with Texas Western, he became a coach for a children's shelter basketball team in the Bronx with James Neal and oversaw the shelter's athletic programs. By the end of the 70s, the shelter merged with another home in Pomona, and Worsley became the director. And he also was a head basketball coach for Spring Valley, which is actually about an hour away from me. And then he actually became the dean of students at Harlem's Boys Choir School. So it turns out, even though all these people didn't go pro, they lived very interesting lives, and God bless them. Okay, the movie overall, again, generic sports film. The movie didn't really grab me. I thought it was just very mediocre. If we were to rank this on the basketball movie scale, the worst being Airball, the best being a slam dunk, I'm going to give this movie a free throw. As in, sometimes you hit them, sometimes you miss. And to me, that movie was very hit and miss. If you like what you see here, go to www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com where you can check out all our blogs, all our podcast bios, check out our podcast available on all platforms. And don't forget to check us out here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell. Thank you for watching, folks. I'm Bill Murphy for the Sports Insanity Network. Thank you for watching Murphy's Sports Cinema. Stay safe and take care.